Number 1 is Layers Lock, owned by Richard Brake of Marysville, Ohio, trained by Richard Dingledine with Rick Dingledine. The 2 is Alps, owned by the Richard Shively Estate of Hamilton, Ohio, trained by Jim Artledge with the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 3 is the Terrific Tao, owned and trained by and driven by John Nelson, parent of Lebanon, Ohio. The 4 is Silver Rush, owned by Scott Glandon of Frankfort, Ohio, trained and driven by Dan Ader. Number 5 is the Maestro, owned by Carol Gamble of Bradford, Ohio, trained by Steve Livingston, Joe Adamski. The 6 is Meadowland Tough Ted by Hoover of Pataskal, Ohio, and Metters of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters with Jeff Ace Nicesonger. Number 7 is This Old Art of Mine, owned by the Big Reed Racing of the big city of Newark, Ohio, trained and driven by Dean Collins. Number 8, Cruisin' Sabra's Outlame. From the outside of the 9 is Rushing Call, owned and trained by Robert Garnett of Hamilton, Ohio, with Jason Brewer. And scoring from off the second tier is number 10, Truly Cam Star by Joseph Smith Sr. and James Schmitz. They're both of the Buckeye State, trained by Jim Daly, Jim Shelton, and the Sulky. In motion. They're all fan pacing and driving out for the lead. There goes Ups, and the K-Man is underway there. From the middle of the track, there is the 4, Silver Rush. Driving up from the middle of the track, there too is the 5, the Maestro. For the outside of there, that is Meadowland Tough Ted. As they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, and Silver Rush looks to be clearing to the front end tier. Ups will yield for a garden spot, racing in 2, away in 3rd from off the rail, that is Layers Lock. 4th on the inside of the Maestro, caught to the outside in 5, that is Meadowland Tough Ted. 6th on the inside of there. As they move by the opening quarter-mile mark of the race, that is Truly Cam Star. They went by the opening quarter in 27 seconds flat. And with the lead here, Silver Rush being tracked by Ups in the garden spot, racing in 2. Layers Lock is 3rd. First to Flush on the outside of there in 4th is Truly Cam Star, who is towing along Meadowland Tough Ted. 2nd over the outside in 5. 6th on the inside and a little rough gated there. That is the Maestro. A swing to the outside in 7th. The Terrific Tao in the 2 trailers here as they race around to the clubhouse turn. That is This Old Art of Mine in 9th, and trailing the field, Rushing Call. They went the half in 57 2/5. Off the turn and setting sail down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4 with Silver Rush. Showing the way here by 3 parts of a length. Grinding it out first over the outside in 2. That is Truly Cam Star. Along the inside, Epps is watching over the doing litters from 3rd. Ready to be swung up 3 wide and doing so now from 4th. Here comes Meadowland Tough Ted by 3/4 on the board in 1:26 2/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Silver Rush with the lead here to the outside of Meadowland Tough Ted, and awaiting the passing lane, that is Epps as they turn to the top of Heartbreak Lane. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. Silver Rush is being set down with a set stretch drive. Epps is coming to him and coming on as they come to the wire. Silver Rush on the inside. Epps is getting up to win it. Epps in front. Finishing second was the 4, Silver Rush. 3rd was the 6, Meadowland Tough Ted. Down the mile, 1:54, 4/5. Epps equaling his lifetime best. Circle, the unofficial winner of the first race. First half of the early daily double, timed at 1:54 4 to equal his lifetime best. Here's the 2 Ups getting a perfect trip here. A 4-year-old bay horse by Tanner's Big Guy out of a Bunny Hanover, she by Albatross. Owned by the Richard Shively Estate of Hamilton, Ohio, trained by Jim Artledge, very capably driven to victory by the K-Man. Kane Kaufman drives the 2 Ups to victory. It's official. 2461 is now official. 24 exact at $20 even. 246 try 4640. 4660 rather. The 1, Chaplin's Rocket Man, is out sick, being led to the post by Kathy Hawk. The 2 is Crossing Over, owned by David Ehrenberg II of Westerville, Ohio, trained by Jim Pollock Jr., Justin Hall. Number 3 is Michigan Dan, owned by Winchester Bay Acres Incorporated of Palo, Ohio, trained by Daryl Hoosier with the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 4 is Tom Bruce, owned by Craig Carter and Mona Almond of Ohio and Florida, trained and driven by Dean Collins. Number 5 is Bearcat Sabra by Catherine Hawk of Orient, Ohio. Patricia Soulsby of Powell, Ohio, trained by Lloyd Hawk. Jeff Nicesonger drives. The 6 is Cierno de Bergerac, owned by Lyndon Rankin of Columbus, Ohio, trained and driven by Dave Rankin. And for the outside of the 7 is Mercedes Ladd, owned and trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. of Grove City, Ohio. Jason Brewer in the sulky. Field in motion. They're off and trotting and firing out of there for the lead. There goes the 4, Tom Bruce. Off stride went the 7, Mercedes Lad as they trot into the first turn and over to the opening quarter. On top, Tom Bruce crosses over and takes the lead by 2 1/4. Along the inside, trotting into, that is crossing over. Along in third, that is Bearcat Sabra. Dropping in, racing in fourth, that is Scioto Downs. And off stride in 5 went to Michigan Dan. And 6th then trailing the field, Mercedes Lad is back down trotting after that early miscue. As they trot around the first turn to the opening quarter, the initial quarter in 28 3/5. And Tom Bruce on the front interior, leading it by length and a half. Crossing over is tracking at the garden spot, racing in 2. Bearcat Sabra's angled in, racing in third. Scioto Downs trots in fourth there. A gap of several back, trotting in 5. That is Mercedes Lad. And 6th then trailing the field of Michigan Dan. As they trot around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half they go. And Tom Bruce is carving out the fractions here, leading it by a length and a half. Along the inside, crossing over is trotting in 2. And now first to flush on the outside in third, off the half and 59 4/5. Here comes Bearcat Sabra underway there. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4 and on top with the lead here, Tom Bruce by 2 1/2. To the outside, Bearcat Sabra is trying to close the gap, racing in 2. Along the inside, crossing over, could not go with him in third. Outside racing in fourth, Scioto Downs. 5 and closing in there, Mercedes Lad. And 6th then trailing the field of Michigan Dan. As they trot by 3/4 and 128 1/5. They'll trot the final turn and head for home. And Tom Bruce is leaving the field behind and opens up here by 3 1/2. To the outside, Bearcat Sabra could get no closer in 2. Crossing over, trots in third and swung up 3 wide with a stretch drive. Scioto Downs off the turn to the top of Power Alley. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Tom Bruce, and Tom Bruce is picking him up and putting him down. Tom Bruce, gate to wire. Mercedes Lad trots back on for second. Finishing third was the 6, Scioto Downs, the town of the mile, 158 1/5. Trackside the winner's circle, the official winner of the second race. Second half of the early daily double, trotting home in 158 1. To be greeted by Chrissy Fout to show due throughout the evening. Here's the 4, Tom Bruce. A 5-year-old big outing by Overcomer out of a super stride mare. She by Umbro Solar. By Craig Carter and Moan Almond. They're of Ohio and Florida, trained and driven by Dean Collins. The 4, Tom Bruce, gate to wire, 158 1/5. The 1 is Hit the Beach, owned by Joseph Shemaiah of Lexington, Kentucky, trained by Lamar Moody, Jeff Ace Nicehonger. Number 2 is Montana Stan, by Amanda Pietkus of Hilliard, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., Dean Collins. The 3 is Noble Strike, by Harry Alltop of Urbana, Ohio, and Kimberly Dingledine of Mechanicsburg, Ohio, trained by Jim Daly with Jim Shelton. The 4, Gully Whopper is out judges. The 5, Sam's Mega Box, owned by Wallace Osborne of Columbus, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters with Jason Brewer. The 6 is GP's El Cid, owned by Gail Potter of Bucyrus, Ohio, and Claudia Peters of Delaware, Ohio, trained by Ron Potter. Justin Hall drives the 6, GP's El Cid. Scott Piney's Bud Light, long shot of the night. The 7 is Nick Austin, with a bed stable of Sunbury, Ohio, trained by Daryl Hoosier with the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. And with the outside of the 8 is Dockside, owned and trained by Robert Rogan, Bell Fountain, Ohio, Dan Ader, in the sulky of Kentucky Alumni Club of Central Ohio. Field in motion. They're off and pacing and firing out for the lead. There goes the 5, Sam's Mega Box, right alongside. That is GP's El Cid. Driving out from post 7, Nick Austin is on the attack there. Away in fourth, that is Hit the Beach from off the rail. A gap of a length and a half and 5. That is Montana Stan. 6th there, that is Noble Strike. And 7th in trailing the field, Dockside. Can see them all as they scramble around the first turn and pace towards the opening quarter on top. Sam's Mega Box with the lead here for Jason Brewer by the opening quarter in 27 2/5. GP's El Cid is tracking for the garden spot, racing in 2. Nick Austin is unhurried in 3rd. 4th is Hit the Beach there. 5th is Montana Stan. And Montana Stan is now wheeled up on the outside. First over in 5. Second over the outside, racing in 6. That is Dockside. 7th there along the inside, Noble Strike. As they race around the clubhouse, turn and bank towards the half, and Sam's Megabucks with the lead here, comfortably leading it by a length and a quarter. Along the inside, GP's El Cid is nose to helmet, racing in 2 as they reach the half in 57 and 2/5. A second panel of 30 seconds flat. A well-rated second panel there. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Claiming handicap pacers are headed towards 3/4 and being led on the front end by Sam's Megabox. Along the inside, GP's El Cid is still right there in the garden spot, racing in 2. Montana Stan is inching up ever closer in 3rd. 4th there and locked in is Nick Austin. Second over the outside in 5. That is Dockside. 3rd over on the outside, racing in 6. Noble Strike and buried at the rail in 7th. And it is as they race by 3/4, hit the beach. 3/4 in 127 and 2/5. Backside, 30 seconds flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and on top of the field, leading the way here, Sam's Megabox is now bracing himself for the oncoming power of the Bud Light long shot of the night. GP's El Cid. He'll take a shot at him for the pocket. Off the turn and driving through the lane to the inside. Sam's Megabox with the lead. GP's El Cid is charging hard, and GP's El Cid, Scott Piney's Bud Light long shot of the night, gets up to win it. Very close for second there. Down to the mile, 156, 2/5. GP's home in 156 and 2/5. The 6 GP's El Cid to establish a new lifetime mark. A 5-year-old bay horse by Cam's Magic Trick out of an Amberhurst Tornado. She by Annihilator, owned by Gail Potter of Bucyrus, Ohio, and Claudia Peters of Delaware, Ohio. Trained by Red Hot Ron Potter. Nicely handled here this evening by wedding driver Justin Hall. The 6-horse GP's El Cid, 156, 2/5, new lifetime mark. Ladies and gentlemen, please note a revised order of finish, 6-5-7-8. The 7-horse found guilty of violation of the braking rule. Therefore, a new order of finish, 6-5-7-8 unofficial. Two, 41-80, 19, 27-80. Second in the mile was Nick Austin, was disqualified in place 3rd for a lapped-on break. We'll show you that break right after. Horses are on the track and pray to the post behind outrider Kathy Hawk for this evening's 4th race. Open pace, a 1 mile, a purse of $8,500. Exactas in tries. Pick 3 wagering begins here. A field of 6, no changes. The 1 is Livestream Mendale, owned by Reed Racing of the big city of Newark, Ohio. Trained and driven by Dean Collins. Number 2 is Kioki Cam, owned by David Roop of Jonesville, Virginia. Trained by Ted Roop, Joe Adamski. Next is the 3, Luby Bluegrass, owned by Sidney Watkins and Robert Gordon of Dalhart, Texas, trained by David Yoder with Justin Hall. The 4 is Brad's Gold, owned by the Darby's Edge Stable, Joe Descala Jr. and Mullinex, they're of Ohio and New York, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 5 is Super Gizmo, by Craig Blatchford, Presser and Presser, all of the Buckeye State, trained by Ron Potter. Back from the Meadows, Jeff Fout drives. And the 6, Hidden Past, by Rummerton Susan Berger of San Jose, California, trained by Peter Foley with Jeff Ace Nicehonger in the sulky. To kick off the early pick 3, field in motion. They're off and pacing in a very nice start here, flashing some early speed in between horses. That is Brad's Gold. From the inside, there is Kioki Cam driving up from the outside. Super Gizmo away in 4th. That is Luby Bluegrass. Away in 5 is Livestream Mendale in 6th, and trailing the field is Hidden Past. As they step around the first turn and over to the opening quarter on top of the field, clearing to the front. That is Brad's Gold of the K-Man on top here by length and a half. Along the inside, Kioki Cam is going along in 2. Luby Bluegrass is 3rd. off the initial quarter of 27 seconds flat. Super Gizmo dropped back, racing in fourth. Fifth, that is Livestream Mindale, and sixth, and trailing the field, Hidden Past, as they roll under the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining, and Brad's Gold to the K-Man on top by length and a half. On the inside, Kyoki Cam is going along in two. First to Flush, coming with a rush on the outside. Here comes Luby Bluegrass, towing along Super Gizmo. Second over the outside, racing in fourth there as they reach the half. They're halfway home in 56 2/5. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Brad's Gold on top here by a leg. Now grinding it out, Luby Bluegrass is first over the outside, racing in two. On the inside, Kyoki Cam is going along in third. Second over the outside, gapping the cover there in fourth. That is Hidden Pass. Super Gizmo didn't have it tonight in fifth. And sixth, and trailing the field, Livestream Mindale as they race towards the 3/4 mile mark of the race. And Brad's Gold with the lead here, 3/4 zinged in 124 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Brad's Gold with the lead here to the inside. Kyoki Cam is going along in two, and now swung up 3 wide to the outside. Here comes Hidden Pass off the turn in less than 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come in the open. Brad's Gold with the lead here. Inside, Kyoki Cam, and Super Gizmo is charging hard to the outside. Brad's Gold to the inside. Super Gizmo to the outside. Brad's Gold in front. Finishing second was the 5, Super Gizmo. Close for third. Down the mile, 152, 3/5, Brad's Gold. Trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the fourth race, open pace, timed at 152 3/5. Here's the 4, Brad's Gold. A 4-year-old brown horse by Cam's Cart Shark. They win back the gold. She by Niatraz. While the Derby's Edge Stable of Ohio, Joe Descala Jr. of New York, and Siad Molnix of Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Nicely handled here this evening by the winning driver, the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. It's a driving double on this evening's card for Kane Kaufman. Down with the mile, 152 3, the 4, Brad's Gold, gate to wire. On to race number 5 here this evening, Exactas and Tries. The 1, Tricks of the Trade, by Heath and Craig Parker of Canal, Winchester, Ohio, trained by Craig Parker with Justin Hall. The 2 is Meadowland Shuffle, owned and trained by Eldon Combs of Oregonia, Ohio. Dan Eater is up. The 3 is Glenview Fritz, owned by Eddie Pulling and Dan Stone of Lebanon, Ohio, trained by Eddie Pulling with Rob Cook. Number 4 is Daddy Hanover by Darrow Bainter and Virgil Morgan Jr. All the Buckeye State, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Jeff Fount. The 5 is TM's Flight Skipper by Denmar's Table of Florida, Kissimmee, Florida rather. Tom Noble trains. Jim Shelton is at the lines. The 6 is Mark Vermeeden with the Winchester Bakers Incorporated of Palo, Ohio, trained by Darrell Hoosier with the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. The 7, Bad Eye Baker, owned by Denny Centers of Franklin, Ohio, and Howard Lewis of Carlisle, Ohio, trained by Jeff Brewer, Jason Brewer at the lines. The 8 is Bearcat Hanover by Reed Racing of Newark, Ohio, trained and driven by Dean Collins. Into the outside of the 9 is Labros Breeze, owned by John Shattuck of Columbus, Ohio, trained by John Robinson, Jeff Ace Nicesonger in the sulky. In motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away for the lead. Middle of the track, there's the 5, TM's Flight Skipper, who's on the go, pushing the gate away there. Driving up from post 6, there is Mark from Eden. And from the way outside, here comes Lavros Breeze, who's on the attack here as they race 3 abreast around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. On top from the inside, TM's Flight Skipper is giving way here to Mark from Eden, the outside of there. That is Lavros Breeze, who's trying to clear to the front end as they roll towards the opening quarter in 27 seconds flat. They'll pass the stand for the first time and head on down to the half and ump on the outside. And Lavros Breeze looks like he'll be taking the long mile on the outside. And Mark from Eden on the inside is finally letting him clear, but he's been parked through 3/8 of a mile. And on top, Lavros Breeze with the lead here, but from the inside, Mark from Eden as they step around the clubhouse turn. And these 2 in hardball here along the inside. TM's Flight Skipper is racing in third. Second over the outside, racing in fourth as they reach the halfway mile mark of the race. That is Bearcat Hanover. They went the half. They're halfway home in 55 3/5. Insane Fractions up top. Mark from Eden on top. with the lead here by length and a quarter. To the outside, Lavros Breeze could not go with him anymore. Swung up 3 wide to the outside. Here comes Bearcat Hanover. Along the inside in third is TM's Flight Skipper. Swung up from the back of the pack. Here comes Tricks of the Trade, who's on the go. Buried at the rail, racing in 5 is Glenview Fred. To the outside in 6, Daddy Hanover. 3/4 and 125 and 3/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. And Lavros Breeze to the outside. Mark from Eden to the outside of their Bearcat Hanover. And 3 wide to the outside. Here comes Daddy Hanover as they turn to the top of Power Alley. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come, and Daddy Hanover is clinging to the lead now to the outside. Here comes Bad Eye Baker, who is charging hard. Mark from Eden is dead game here. Passing lane, Glenview Fritz, horses coming from everywhere. Bad Eye Baker in front. Glenview Fritz to go second. It was close for third. May have been the 5 TM's Flight Skipper. The time of the mile, 1:56 flat. Bad Eye Baker. The winner's circle, the unofficial winner of the 5th race, number 7, Bad Eye Baker, a 5-year-old bay horse by Reveille Ruler out of a Jay's Hellfire mare. She by Oil Burner, owned by Denny Centers of Franklin, Ohio, and Howard Lewis of Carlisle, Ohio. Trained by Jeff Brewer. Nicely handled cheer this evening by winning driver Jason Brewer. The 7, Bad Eye Baker, home winner in 1:56 flat. Bad Eye Baker. The 5th race sponsored by Obanus Charity Golf Tournament. Welcome to Ohio's showplace of racing. Photo reveals 7-3-5-1 unofficial. The one is Tazewell by Craig Colston of Springboro, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Kane Kaufman drives. The 2 is Come On Morgan by Jerry Sommers of Pickerington, Ohio, and Bruce Churches of New Albany, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters. Jason Brewer drives. The 3 is Pinnacle. The lessee is Dorothy Christie of Grove City, Ohio, trained by Mr. Todd Christie with Jeff Ace Nicesonger. Number 4 is Buckeye Hanover by the Wolverine Stable of Lancaster, Ohio, trained by Jim Artledge Jr. Justin Hall with the lines. The 5 is Mystical Cam by Reed Racing of Newark, Ohio, trained and driven by Dean Collins. The 6 is Uphill Battle by Hartley Farms Incorporated and Paul Gillenwater, both of the Buckeye State, trained by Mark Gillenwater, Jeff Fount. The 7 is Powerful Sam by James Grandstaff of Washington Courthouse, Ohio, trained by Dan Ader. Dan Ader at the lines. And from the outside of the 8 is Nonell by Coughlin of Chagrin Falls, Ohio, and Taylor of Port Clinton, Ohio, trained and driven by Tom D. Hall in the sulky. Field in motion. They're off and pacing in a very nice start there and flashing some early speed, pushing the gate away. And there goes the 5, Mystical Cam, who's driving out for command. From the inside, there is Come On Morgan. From the outside in third, looking to drop in, there is Powerful Sam. Away in fourth, closing up the gap. Now third, that is Pinnacle. Drangling in there, racing in fourth is Powerful Sam. Away racing in 5, that is Buckeye Hanover. To the inside in sixth is the classy Old Guy Uphill Battle. 7th there along the inside is Nonell, and 8th and trailing the field. A handful is Tazewell for Kane Kaufman as they go by the opening quarter in 27 4/5. Now up on the outside, Come On Morgan forges to the frontier to take the lead by a length and a half. Along the inside, Mystical Camel now yield for a garden spot and track from 2. Inside, Pinnacle is unused in third. 4th, that is Powerful Sam. First over on the outside in 5. Here comes Uphill Battle. 6th along the inside, Buckeye Hanover. 7th, that is Nonell, and 8th and trailing the field, Tazewell, as they step around the clubhouse turn and report to the half in 57 1/5. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4, and Come On Morgan is calling the shots. Now Pinnacle is bearing down first over the outside, racing in 2. It is looking that leader in the eye and sticks ahead in front. Pinnacle to the outside, to the inside, Come On Morgan. Along the inside, racing in third, that is Mystical Cam. Perfectly placed there. Second over the outside in fourth, that is Uphill Battle. 5th on the inside, Powerful Sam. 6th, that is Buckeye Hanover. as they race by three quarters and 125 and 4 fifths. So the tempo's been picked up quite considerably here, and the battle's on. Come on, Morgan from the inside. Pinnacle is still there, still coming to him on the outside. He's dead game here as they turn to the top of the stretch. Less than an eighth of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come, setting sail for home. Come on, Morgan to the inside. Pinnacle on the outside. Mystical Cam down to the passing lane here as they come to the wire. Come on, Morgan. Mystical Cam. Come on, Morgan. In front, Mystical Cam to go second. Pinnacle was third, time of the mile, 154, 2 fifths. Come on, Morgan in 2 fifths. He's a 5-year-old bay horse by Nobleland Sam out of an Indiana Falcon. She by Falcon Elmhurst. By Jerry Sommers of Pickerington, Ohio, and Churches of New Albany, Ohio. Trained by Mike Metters. Nicely handled to you this evening by winning driver Jason Brewer. That's back-to-back wins for Jason Brewer, giving him a driving double. 154 and 2, the 2. Come on, Morgan. Pick 3 of 3, 367.60. Exacta, 2-5 returns. 21.80, 253 try, $72 even. Well, Jason Brewer gets back-to-back wins there, giving him a driving double. He had a driving double last night, has a driving double tonight. Come on, Morgan, 154. The one is Instigator, owned by James Pettercelli of Hilliton, New Jersey, trained and driven by Dan Ader. Number 2, Lots of Guy is outclaimed. The 3 is Noble Alex, owned by Jim Chaliff of Cincinnati, Ohio, trained by Jim Daly with Jim Shelton. Number 4 is Western Genius, some of the FTF Incorporated at Johnstown, Ohio, trained by Ron Potter with Jeff Fount. The 5 is Stinky Flynn, owned by James Cargo, Morrow, Ohio, trained by Jack Daly with Jeff Daly up. The 6 is Bikini Kinda Guy, by Parker of Canal, Winchester, Ohio, and Berger of Columbus, Ohio, trained by Doug Parker with Dean Collins. The 7 is Civil War, by Richard Elwood of Lancaster, Ohio, trained by Rick Hartman with the K-Man, King Kaufman. And for the outside of the 8 is Evil Tricks, owned by John Sugar of Columbus, Ohio, trained by Sandy Beatty, Justin Hall, and the Sulky. Being sent on their way. They're all fan pacing and firing away for the lead middle of the track. There's the 5 Stinky Flynn in between horses. Western Genius from off the rail. There's the 1 Instigator. Off stride with the 6 Bikini Kinda Guy as they wheel around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. And Western Genius is being set down on the front end here, leading it by a length and a half. Along the inside, racing into that is Instigator. Well placed there from off the rail by Dan Ader. Dropping in, racing in third. That is Stinky Flynn. Away in fourth is Noble Alex. The opening quarter in 27 and 1 fifth. Away in 5 is Civil War. 6th on the inside there. That is Evil Tricks. 7th there as they race by the stands and head on down to the half. After that break is Bikini Kinda Guy as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half, and Western Genius on top here, fronting the field by a length and a half. Along the inside, Instigator is going along in 2. Stinky Flynn is tracking the top pair from 3rd. First over the outside, racing in 4th. Here comes Evil Tricks. First over the outside in 4 as they reach the half. They're halfway home in 58 and 2 fifths. Second over the outside in 5. That is Noble Alex. Third along the rail there in 6th in a ground-saving journey. That is Civil War in 7th, and trailing the field, Bikini Kinda Guy as they race down the backside. Headed towards 3/4 and on top, Western Genius has led it throughout, leads it here by a length and a quarter. Up first over to the outside, racing into there as they race towards the 3/4 mile mark of the race. That is Evil Tricks along the inside. Instigator is watching him over from 3rd as they reach 3/4 in 127 and 1 fifth. They'll pace the final turn and head for home in Western Genius with the lead here. Instigator is all over Jeff Fount's helmet, nose to helmet, racing into and ready to swing either to the passing lane or to the outside. Off the turn and less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. And Civil War is charging hard. And Civil War looks like he's been shot out of a cannon here, and it blows right on by. Civil War in front. Very close for a second. May have been the 3 Noble Alex. Over the 1 Instigator, top of the mile, 156 flat. Civil War and a new lifetime mark. Very impressive there. So, trackside of the winner's circle, the unofficial winner of the 7th race, number 7, Civil War. A 3-year-old big gelding by Northern Luck out of a down south mare. She by Albatross. By Richard Elwood of Lancaster, Ohio, trained by Rick Hartman. Very nicely driven this evening to victory by winning driver, the Cape Man, Kane Kaufman. That's 3 wins on this evening's program for Kane, giving him a driving triple. Civil War, hoping to do lifetime mark 156 flat. It's official. 7-3-1-8 is now official. 7-3 exacta 74-40. 7-3-1 try 203-80. To Ohio, trained by John Arrowwood with Jeff Ace Nicehunger. Number 2 is Noble Senator. This is Scott Piney's Bacardi 03 challenge pick. Owned by Marion Coleman to Albany, Ohio, trained by Danny Collins with Jeff Fount. The 3 is Really Shady, owned by Rick Starr of Hilliard, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., Justin Hall. The 4 is Positive Scooter. My Bud Light long shot of the night is owned by Marvin Godown of Greenville, Ohio, trained and driven by the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 5 is Cowboy Java by Jackson of Monroe, Michigan, and Jackson Jr. of Alexandria, Indiana, trained by Kelly Jackson with Dan Ader. Number 6 is Moe's Muffler Shop. This is Lisa Chapman, the Challenger's pick here for the Bacardi 03 Challenge, owned by Reed Racing of Newark, Ohio, and Mona Almond of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, trained and driven by Dean Collins. Number 7 is Come On VC Song by Jerry Sommers of Pickerington, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters with Jason Brewer. And for the outside, there's the 8 Flammable Owl by Denmar Stable of Florida, Kissimmee, Florida, trained by Tom Noble, Jim Shelton, and the Sulky. Ocean. They're off and pacing and firing away from the inside. There goes Noble Senator right alongside. Immediate inside, there's Endless Endeavor driving up from post 6. There's Moe's Muffler Shop who's on the go there. And it looks as though Moe's Muffler Shop will be wrangled into 3rd. Racing in 4, that is Really Shady. A gap of 4 lengths there. Racing in 5, that is Positive Scooter. Away in 6th, this Cowboy Java. 7th there on the inside is Come On VC Song. And 8th then trailing the field, Flammable Owl. As they step by the opening quarter, it'll be a quick one. 26 and 3 fifths, and Noble Senator and Jeff Fount has set this one down on the front interior, leading it by a length and a quarter. Endless Endeavor is right there, nose to helmet, racing in 2. Moe's Muffler Shop is racing in 3rd. First to flush, coming with the rush to the outside. Here comes Positive Scooter, first over the outside in 4, towing along Cowboy Java, second over the outside in 5. Under a snug hold there in 6th is Really Shady. 3rd over on the outside, racing in 7th. Come On VC Song, and 8th and trailing the field, Flammable Owl as they approach the half. They're halfway home in 57 seconds flat. A second panel with 30 and 2 fifths. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4 with Noble Senator leading the way here by a length and a quarter. To the outside, Positive Scooter is first over in 2. On the inside, Endless Endeavor is racing in 3rd. Second over the outside, perfectly placed there in 4th is Cowboy Java. To the inside, buried in 5 is Moe's Muffler Shop. Outside in 6, Come On VC Song in 7th, and trailing the field, Really Shady. 3/4 and 125 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home off a backside in 28 seconds. And on top, Noble Senator, your 8-5. Punter's Choice will be set down with a stretch drive on top by 2. Off the turn and spinning to the top of the stretch. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. And Noble Senator responds well here and opens up by 4. To the outside, Come On VC Song is charging late, but at the wire it's Noble Senator in front. Come On VC Song to go second. 3rd was the 3, Really Shady. The time of the mile, 153. 4 fifths, Noble Senator. Nice. Number 2, Noble Senator. Timed at 153 and 4 fifths. Now your official winner. Noble Senator is a 4-year-old bay horse by Noble and Sam out of a Valadonna Hanover. She by Direct Scooter by Marianne Kaufman of New Albany, Ohio, trained by Danny Collins. Very nicely driven to victory by winning driver Jeff Fount. The 2, Noble Senator, 153 4 fifths. So official, 2735 official, 27 exacta $31 even, 273 try, 171.80. Kathy Hawk brings them out. Here's the one, Western Slinger, owned by J&J Como Jr. Incorporated at Waco, New Jersey, trained by Peter Foley with Jeff Ace Nicehunger. Number 2 is House of Sam, owned by Patricia Soulsby of Palo, Ohio, trained and driven by Rick Shout. Number 3 is Best Cam Dragon, owned by Dennis Hertz of Columbus, Ohio, trained by Calvin Holler. The K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 4, Unique Sam, owned by Bob Coberly. Clyde McIntyre of Lambertville, Michigan, trained and driven by Bob Zubkoff. The 5 is Albion What Punctual by Jay Sears of Deerfield Beach, Florida, and George Brody of Hudson, Florida, trained and driven by Jay Sears. Number 6 is Devil's Music by Kathy Estes of Troy, Ohio, trained by David Bodenmiller, Jeff Fount. The 7 is Western Intent by the National Trail Investment Company Incorporated, Bean Station, Tennessee, trained and driven by Dan Nader. And to the outside of the 8 is My Pal Joey by Doris Wilson of Columbus, Ohio, trained by Joe Wilson, Jason Brewer, and the Sulky. They're all fan pacing and firing away. Middle of the track, there's the 4, Unique Sam, driving up from the outside. There is Devil's Music, who's on the go, far outside there. As they race into the first turn, that is My Pal Joey. And My Pal Joey is circling up to take the lead here along the inside. Devil's Music will come away racing in 2. Caught to the outside in 3rd, that is Western Intent, who is driving on. Away in 4th is Unique Sam. 5th on the inside is Western Slinger. 6th there, that is Best Cam Dragon. The 2 trailers here are House of Sam and Albion What Punctual. Can see them all as they stepped off the opening quarter in 27-4 in Western Intent, but up on the outside. Here's Devil's Music and Jeff Fount to take the lead here, and a little bit rough gated. The 6 Devil's Music, but Fount keeps him together and goes right onto the top here as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. Devil's Music on the front end. Western Intent is tracking him from 2nd. Shuffled back, racing in 3rd. That is My Pal Joey. First over the outside, racing in 4th. That is Unique Sam as they step off the half in 57 3/5. A second panel at 29 4. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4 and on top of the field from the inside. Devil's Music with the lead here by a length and a half. First over the outside, racing in 2. That is Unique Sam at the leader's wheel disc in 2nd. Along the inside, Western Intent is watching over the doing leaders from 3rd. Second over and perfectly placed there is Western Slinger in 4th. 5th on the inside and completely buried there is My Pal Joey. 3rd over the outside in 6th. That is Albion What Punctual. He's within striking distance. 3/4 and 126 4/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Devil's Music and Fount with the lead here to the outside. A Western Slinger now swung up 3 wide to the outside. Here comes Albion What Punctual off the turn in less than an 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. Devil's Music is desperate. Albion What Punctual is charging on the outside. Devil's Music, Albion What Punctual, Devil's Music in front. Going second, Albion What Punctual. Third was the 2, House of Sam. Time of the mile, 1:55 2, and we got a horse down just after the wire. Back up now. Time of the mile, 1:55. Race number 6, Devil's Music, timed at 1:55 2 to establish a new lifetime mark. The 6 Devil's Music is a 3-year-old bake outing by Park Place out of a Timmy's Brent. She by Brett Hanover by Kathy Estes at Troy, Ohio, trained by David Bodenmiller. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Jeff Fount. The 6 Devil's Music, new lifetime mark, 1:55 2 pounds. Now your official winner, 65210 official, 65 exact at 2240, 652 try, $230.40. The 1 is Falcon X, owned by Jerry Zozel of Columbus, Ohio, and Kathy Ratcliffe of Orient, Ohio, trained by Jim Daly with Jeff Ace Nicehunger. Number 2 is Crown Time Big Ben by Esther Crownover of MacArthur, Ohio, trained by Earl Owings with Dan Ader. Number 3 is North Wind by Douglas Neely of Barberton, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., Dean Collins. The 4 is Fakes Folly by the Hartley Farms Incorporated, and Paul Gillenwater of Plain, Ohio, trained by Mark Gillenwater. Jeff Fount drives. The 5 Sand Flying Dragon by Michael Wetter, Middletown, Ohio, trained by Jack Daly. Jeff Daly is up. The 6 is Norman Feeney by Leslie Lane of Ostrander, Ohio, trained by Jim Pollock Jr., the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. The 7 is Max's Memory by Richard McCall, Bucyrus, Ohio, trained by Ken Zorns. Dale Edwards is up. The 8 is Kentucky Kid, owned by Debbie Geiler of Pataskala, Ohio, trained by Sandy Beatty. Justin Hall with the lines. The 9 is Grandpa Ike by Charter Bryant of Cleveland, Ohio, trained and driven by Tom Holland, scoring from off the second tier. Number 10, Sharp Steve, owned, trained and driven by John Nelson Perrin of Lebanon, Ohio, in the Sulky. That's the field for the 10th race. Exacta trifecta pick 3 wagering, a field of 10. They're all fan pacing and firing away. Middle of the track, there goes the 3 North Wind. Right alongside of that is Fake's Folly. Driving out from the rail, there is Falcon X. So way up on the outside in 4th. That is Max's Memory. Way outside of there in 5 is Grandpa Ike. And we're off to the rodeo in here as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. And from the inside, Falcon X with the rail leads it here by 3 parts of length. Up on the outside, North Wind is relentless here. On the inside in 3rd is Crown Time Big Ben. They stepped off the opening quarter in 26 and 4/5. Along the inside, Sharp Steve from off the second tier is racing in 4th. Got to the outside in 5 is Grandpa Ike. 6th on the inside, Fake's Folly. Gap of 3.5 there. Racing in 7th, that is Max's Memory. To the outside of there in 8th, here comes Norman Feeney. 9th on the inside is Sand Flying Dragon. In 10th and trailing the field, Kentucky Kid. As they race around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. Falcon X from the inside. Up on the outside of there, that is North Wind. As they reach the half, they're at the half and a taxing 55 and 1/5 off the turn and driving down the backside. And Falcon X leads the way here. Up on the outside, North Wind has been parked every step of the mile. Still up on the outside in 2. Along the inside, Crown Time Big Ben is watching over the doing leaders from 3rd. Swung up 3 wide on the outside. Norman Feeney is inching ever closer on the outside, racing in 4th. He's 2nd over there as they approach the 3/4 mile mark of the race. And 3/4 is on the board in 1:24 and 2/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Falcon X with the lead here under crack of the whip. To the inside, Crown Time Big Ben is now angled to the outside here and left out 3 wide to the outside. That is Norman Feeney to the top of Power Alley. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Falcon X is being set down for the drive. Crown Time Big Ben on the outside goes right on by. Crown Time Big Ben in front. Falcon X to go 2nd. Norman Feeney was 3rd. Down to the mile 1:53. 2/5. Crown Time Big Ben. And track side of the winner's circle, the official winner of the 10th race. Top of the mile 1:53 and 2. The 2 Crown Time Big Ben. 5-year-old bay horse by Tanner's Big Guide of a Crown Time Esther. She by Falcon Almahurst. By Esther Crown over at MacArthur, Ohio. Trained by Earl Owings. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Dan Ader. Down of the mile 1:53. 2/5. The 2 Crown Time Big Ben. Dan Ader returns to the winner's circle here at Scioto Downs. See him in the winner's circle. Earl Owings trains, timed in 1:53 and 2, 9:84:43:20. 2nd was the 1 Falcon X, and Jeff Neishunger returning 3:6. The 1 is Incredible Melvin, owned by Stephen Watkins of Sydney, Ohio, trained by Myron Earl with Jim Shelton. Next is the 2 Studley Lamont, owned by Billy Joe Raleigh and Tommy Lee Smith of Kentucky and Ohio, trained by Tommy Lee Smith with Jeff Ace Neishunger. Number 3 is Bad Boy Justin by Roy Swaney of Spring Valley, Ohio, trained by David Hoff with Jeff Fount. The 4 is Scuba Cam by Coberly, Zubkoff, and McIntyre. They're all of Michigan, trained and driven by Bob Zubkoff. The 5 is No Problem Mon by Hawker, Ferguson, and Smith. They're all of the Buckeye State, trained by Tom Ferguson Jr. with Dan Ader. The 6 is Napoleon Sabra, owned by Michael Wetter in Middletown, Ohio, trained by Jack Daly with Jeff Daly up. The 7 is Siegfried Hanover by Dreamer Morgan of Macedonia, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. The K-Man, Kane Kaufman drives. For the outside of the 8, Mr. Hankey by Ronald Fairchild of Platte Gap, Kentucky, trained by Jeff Brewer, Jason Brewer in the sulky. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and going out of there for the lead. There goes Studley Lamont driving up the middle of the track. There's the 5, No Problem Man. From the outside, there is Mr. Hankey. From off the rail, there is Incredible Melvin coming away in 4th. They're 3 deep as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. Away in 5, that is Bad Boy Justin. 6th is Scuba Cam. 7th there along the rail is Napoleon Sovereign. 8th and trailing the field, Siegfried Hanover. The K-Man can see them all as they step towards the opening quarter. On top of the field, Studley Lamont and Ace Neishunger through an opening quarter in 27 and 4 fast. They'll scamper on by the stand for the first time and head on down to the half. No Problem Mon has found the garden spot racing in 2. Mr. Hankey is going along in 3rd. First to flush on the outside in 4th. Here comes Incredible Melvin towing along Bad Boy Justin. 2nd over the outside in 5. Third over in 6, that is Scuba Cam. 7th along the rail on a ground-saving journey is Napoleon Sabra, and 4th over on the outside of there, racing in 8th and trailing the field, Siegfried Hanover. As they step around the clubhouse turn, we got 4 in and 4 out. They reach the half in 58 and 4/5. They're double-tiered off the turn and driving down the backside. On top of the field from the inside, Studley Lamont, Incredible Melvin on the outside in 2. Along the inside, no problem, Mon along the rail is racing in 3rd. Along the outside, racing in 4th, Bad Boy Justin, and now swung up 3 wide from the back of the pack. Here comes Siegfried Hanover, now forced out 4 wide there as they approach the 3/4 mile mark of the race, and Studley Lamont with the lead here through 3/4 on the board in 1:27 and 4/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Studley Lamont to the inside. Bad Boy Justin is bearing down on the outside in 2, and Siegfried Hanover's in 3rd to the top of the stretch. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go, and driving through Power Alley from the inside. Studley Lamont to the outside here. Bad Boy Justin still there, still coming to him as they roll within the final 16. Studley Lamont is giving way late to Bad Boy Justin in front. Studley Lamont to go 2nd. Scuba Cam was 3rd. Down the mile, 1:57, 1/5. Bad Boy Justin. Brave leader out of the Neo. She by Sugar Tree by Roy Swaney of Spring Valley, Ohio. Trained by David Hoff. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Jeff Fount. That's 3 wins on this evening's program for driver Jeff Fount, giving him a driving triple. The 3, Bad Boy Justin and Jeff Fount, 1:57 and 1. Now your official winner, 3-2-4-7 official, 3-2 exacta, 210 even, 3-2-4 try, $1,091.80. The 1 is Keno Joe, owned and trained by Harry Alltop of Urbana, Ohio, with Jim Shelton up. The 2 is Jimmy Let's Go by Whitaker and Robert Whitaker Jr. of Middletown, Ohio, trained by Robert Whitaker Jr. with the driver's change to Scott McQuinn. The 3 is Bosses of Bosses, owned by Roy Swaney of Spring Valley, Ohio, trained by David Hoff with Jeff Fount. The 4 is Roll-On Sam by Michael Wetter in Middletown, Ohio, trained by Jack Daly. Jeff Daly is up. The 5 is Let's Rock, owned, trained, and driven by John Nelson Perrin of Lebanon, Ohio. The 6 is Helsa Sam by the Shout Stable of Pompano Beach, Florida, trained and driven by Rick Shout. The 7 is TNT Hanover by Beverly Bushelman of Franklin, Ohio, trained by Daryl Collins. Herbie Brown is up. The 8 is Dot's Big Guy, owned by Joseph Shemaiah, Lexington, Kentucky, trained by Lamar Moody. Dan Noble, or Dan Ader rather. The 9 is Cowboy Casino, owned and trained by Ken Drake of Delaware, Ohio. Dean Collins is up. And the 10, Fort Herod by the Fountain Valley Farm of Danville, Kentucky, trained by C. Kevin Thomas. Jeff H. Nicehonger in the sulky. Showplace of racing, Scioto Downs, field in motion. Being sent on their way. They're off and pacing and flying out of there for the lead. There goes Helsa Sam from the inside. Jimmy Let's Go is on the go from the inside in 3rd. That is Keno Joe. Driving up from the outside of there is Cowboy Casino as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. Away in 5 from off the second tier is Fort Herod. Gap at 2 lengths there, racing in 6th. That is Boss of Bosses dropping in, racing in 7th there. And now to the outside, Dot's Big Guy. Up on the outside as they race by the opening quarter. The opening quarter came and went in 28 and 1/5. And now Helsa Sam is now on the front end here. Jimmy Let's Go is yielded for a garden spot, racing in 2. Cowboy Casino is going along in 3rd. Keno Joe is racing in 4th. 5th, that is Fort Herod. A gap of several on the outside of there, racing in 6th. That is Roll-On Sam. Off stride in 7th. That is Dot's Big Guy. 8th along the inside. Boss of Bosses. 9th there along the inside. Let's Rock in 10th and trailing the field. That is TNT Hanover as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. They reach the half in 57 and 3/5. Off the turn and driving down the backside and on top. Helsa Sam, but now is under attack on the outside from Fort Herod as they set sail down the backside of the finale. On top from the inside, Helsa Sam now forging to the front here by a head. That is Cowboy Casino. Jimmy Let's Go is watching over the doing leaders from 3rd. 4th there on the inside. That is Cowboy Casino. Laboring to the outside in 5 is Keno Joe as they wheel by 3/4 on the board in 1:26 and 3/5. And Helsa Sam has battled back with the lead here by length. To the outside, Fort Herod is still there in 2. Jimmy Let's Go, a perfect trip here, a trip of a lifetime as they turn to the top of the stretch. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the the stretch they come. Elsa Sam with the lead here. A move to the passing lane. Here comes Jimmy. Let's go along with Cowboy Casino to the outside. Ford Heritage still there, still coming to him as they come to the wire. Jimmy, let's go. And Elsa Sam, those two to the wire. Photo for win. Time of the mile, 1:57 flat. Photo for win. Late double, 3-2, 62-40. Late pick 3, 3 of 3, 3:17.60. Trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the 12th and final race. Number 2, Jimmy, let's go. A 5-year-old bake outing by Henry, let's go. Out of a Lolita scooter, she by Direct Scooter. By Terry Whitaker and Robert Whitaker Jr. of Middletown, Ohio. Trained by Robert Whitaker Jr. Nicely handled to you this evening. Pinch hit. Drove to victory by Scott McQuinn. The 2, Jimmy, let's go. 1:57 flat.